So here we go. Well, hey gang, it's Darryl Davis, and I've got Tracey, the safety lady Hawkins, in the house. Hi, Tracey.
Hey, Darryl, how are you?
Very great. So, gang, let me share with you who Tracey is, and a little bit anyway. I'm gonna have her introduce herself. But I heard Tracey. I've seen Tracey speak many a times, and she's so great and so passionate with her topic, and articulate and brilliant. And yeah, this last time I saw her speak at in Wichita, Kansas, the entertainment hub of the country, she spoke to a bunch of education directors called Rapid, and they meet once a year. It's a great event. And so I was there, and she shared some crazy statistics that I wasn't even aware of. So, and being that this is Realtor Safety Month awareness in September, I figured let's get Tracey, even though we're going to air this later, but Tracey's going to talk about help us with being safe. And I didn't think this was an important topic until I heard Tracey speak. So anyway, Tracey, thanks so much for taking the time to doing this recording for our members. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for taking it seriously.
Yeah, well, you did that. You seriously, like if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have gotten the seriousness of this. So first of all, can you just background, why did you start talking about this particular topic?
I had a real estate license. I have a twin sister. She and I got our real estate licenses 30 something years ago, and she is still a practicing real estate agent. And I decided that real estate sales was not necessarily for me.
Okay.
I wanted to do something a little different that no one else was really doing, and something that really truly served the community. So I opened a safety business, a safety store. I had a retail store in a mall, and I sold safety items. And then I got restless. It's like, there's got to be something else I can do. And then between my sister and myself, I decided I needed to start speaking about safety throughout the Kansas City, Missouri area, which is where I am based. So I started doing safety programs for the real estate offices here. And then that pretty much took off and started growing on a national basis, because there isn't anyone who really has established themselves as a leader in the real estate safety market. And at this point in time, I'm the one.
Now, how long you been talking on this topic now?
24 years.
Oh my goodness. Okay, great. Wow. So so obviously you've got some background knowledge. So let's talk about this. What would you say is, well, you know what, let's jump into the statistics. Do you have some statistics? Because there was something about, like, I didn't think it would be an issue for guys to worry about, that it was that
Right.
Women are the ones that are preyed on. And that's not true, is it?
Well, 57% of the members of the National Association of Realtors are women, and people are surprised at that number. People think it's higher. The crimes against male agents have increased, or either they're more talked about now. I wrote an article for the National Association of Realtors for Realtor magazine about 4 ways that male agents put themselves in danger. And that was the most read article of the year in 2017, because it's a topic that most people don't think about, most people don't talk about. I include I have a presentation where I travel around the country and I talk about safety. I include 7 names of male real estate agents. And those real estate agents have been either killed on the job, with the most recent happening in January of this year, or attacked or robbed, or somehow victimized. And a lot of times you should see the looks on the agents' faces when they see that PowerPoint and the names are all male. It just goes to show that crimes happen among women as well as male agents. So everyone needs to pay attention. Everyone needs to be aware.
Now, what are those 4? What was the article? Was the 4 things? What?
4 ways that male agents put themselves in danger. So if someone goes to nar.realtor and they search my name, and the spelling is right there, they will see a list of articles that I've written through the years, and then they'll look for the articles where it says 4 ways that male agents put themselves in danger. That's the article, and the comments section just blew up. And a lot of times people don't expect male agents to be victimized. And for writing the article, I asked the male agents that I talked to, it's like, why do you not take safety seriously? Why do most male agents not take it seriously? And I had an agent from North Carolina. He said, because we're stupid. He says, it's that machismo. We don't think anything's going to happen to us. And so many other agents say that they were willing to accompany female agents whenever they were in danger, but they never imagined that they would be targeted. So it's just an eye opener that male agents need to be aware, just like female agents.
Well, what are some? I mean, obviously, they should read the article, but real quick, what are some of those things that put male agents in jeopardy?
Well, one crime that is specific to female agents would be sexual assault, and that is one that male agents don't typically have to worry about. And but robbery is a big one for male as well as female agents. And what I do is I look at the crimes. I'm a full-time safety expert. This is all I do. It's not a side job. It is all that I do. So I have time to do this. I look at the crimes against agents, and I study them, and I try to determine whether or not those crimes could be prevented. And I would say 100% of the time they can be. We're not blaming the victim, and we're not saying that they should have, would have, could have. But what I do is I like to look at life lessons. What could we learn from each crime? So first and foremost, agents need to take safety training seriously. Okay. The National Association of Realtors has mandated that all associations and boards must offer some safety training. Agents need to take advantage of that training, no matter what it is. It could be weapons classes, which are becoming more popular. It could be a hands-on self-defense class. What I teach is my goal is to teach agents how to work safely, step by step, right up front, and hopefully avoid any situation. But the bottom line is agents truly need to take those classes, safety classes, seriously.
What are some of I was just writing a note here while you're talking because I wanted to make sure I got that. What is the number one or some of the top mistakes that agents make that put them in an unsafe situation?
Okay, first and foremost, thinking that it won't happen to me. I travel all over the country, and no matter where I am, from California to New York to North Dakota to Texas, agents say the same thing, and that lets me know that my job is not done. I hear agents say, I only work in the daytime, so they think that makes them safe. I'm here to tell you that criminals, they don't care. They're looking for an opportunity whenever that may be. I hear agents tell me that I only go to good neighborhoods or only work in good neighborhoods or good parts of town. That drives me crazy. As long as criminals have cars, no part of town is safe. And then if you think about it, the so-called good parts of town, that's where the good stuff is. So that's a target for real estate agents. And when I look at some of the crimes against agents, it's happening in small towns, as much as big towns, and probably more so. And it's happening daylight all time. So agents need to realize that, yes, it can happen to you no matter where you are and no matter what time of the day you're working.
Yeah, I guess there's an old joke. Willie Sutton was a famous bank robber, and they asked him, why did you become a bank robber? And he said, because that's where the money is. And it's not a very good joke, but that's the joke. So even the nice neighborhoods, of course, that's where the burglar would go because that's where the money's at, right?
Exactly. And that's where the so-called rich agents are working in these expensive houses. So as long as agents realize that it can happen, and it does happen anywhere and everywhere, then they will not let their guard down.
Yeah, I don't want to give any criminals any suggestion, but I could see an open house at a nice neighborhood, where the agents by themselves would actually be really easy for a burglar. What are some simple things that agents can do to help protect themselves?
One thing that I have learned doing this job, again, full time, this is all that I do, is that the old rules don't work anymore. Whenever I hear someone trotting out the old safety tips, it's like, no, no, no. When we tell agents to come into the office, that's a waste of time. What I've learned is that a lot of agents work for either virtual companies, or a lot of them just do not go into the office on a regular basis. So if we tell agents to have their new clients come into the office first and then go show them, agents are going to go in one ear and out the other ear. So what I do is I adapt it to what's real and to what's realistic. I say meet in public somewhere. It could be a coffee shop, and I always bring affiliates in because they have mortgage companies, insurance companies, title companies that they work with. I guarantee you, all of them would open up their conference rooms for the agents to meet new clients right then and there. So I tell agents that since criminals are cowards, they don't want to be seen. So have them meet you in public where they can be seen. And then at that point in time, get the information that you need. And Darryl, for some reason, real estate agents are afraid to ask their clients for a copy of their driver's license for ID. And I've been an agent. I have a sister who's an agent. I know this, and I can't for the life of me figure out why that's still a problem. And I remind agents during my class, it's like, do you all remember Blockbuster? You remember Blockbuster, right, Darryl?
Okay, yes, you don't have to advertise the fact that I'm old.
No, I'm older than you are. I'm older than you are. But when you went to Blockbuster to rent a video, what's the one thing you had to do?
You had to give them your driver's license.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And people willingly handed their driver's license over to whoever it was behind the counter. So what I tell agents is you are about to help someone with the biggest financial transaction of their lives. If they hesitate to give you their driver's license, that's a sign, that's a warning sign. So don't hesitate to ask for the ID, and don't just take the ID. The whole point is to do something with it that can help you. Send the ID, a copy of it, to another agent in your office. Send it to an adult, a child, to a spouse, a friend. Somebody needs to get a copy of that ID. And they also need to take the time to send a text message where they are and who they're with. Almost everybody on the face of the earth texts nowadays. So there's no excuse not to pound out a real quick text to say, hey, this is where I am. Here's a picture of who I'm with, and this is when I'm expected back. That way, if for some reason they don't show up, someone can hand that information to law enforcement officials, and help is on the way.
Now, I will tell you, just to highlight that license thing, that it probably, I mean, which is a great, that one tip is such a great tip, because not only does it protect you, but so you have it and you send it to somebody, but more importantly, if you ask and they're uncomfortable giving it to you, that's a red sign. If for no reason, just for that reason, to see how they react when you ask them.
Exactly.
But I'll tell you something, it gives agents some dialogue, Tracey. You know, I now you cannot check into a hotel, which is not the case. And used to not, and I know you know because you travel so much, but when you check into a hotel, they ask to see your driver's license. When I go to the airport, they ask for my driver's license. So I don't think it's that much out of the norm now to ask for a person's driver's license, because more and more people are asking for it. Is there anything, now you brought out a good point about texting somebody, is there any kind of app that an agent can use that would help them in doing what you just suggested?
I'm so glad you brought that up. Being in my position, people, if they search for real estate safety, they find me. So you can imagine that all of these app creators and producers are coming to me. Hey, Tracey, here's a great app, tell real estate agents about it. I am extremely cautious with that because I have seen through the years, I've seen so many apps come and go. And my name is on the line, so I am not comfortable just saying, here's an app that you should use, here's one. I will admit that at this point in time, I am working with a couple of companies, but I'm not working with them yet. I am vetting them. Okay. I need to try the product. First and foremost, I need to know that it works, and I need to make sure they have a good history before I suggest it. So that's something that I am hoping to be able to announce pretty soon, a partnership with a company that I feel comfortable with. And the two companies that I'm looking at right now, they're not actually apps. A lot of times, people want a phone app, but what I find and what I hear from agents is that's not always practical. A lot of times agents don't always have their phones on hand when they need it, and they don't always have the app open when they need it. So these are companies that have the actual fobs or a device that you hold in hand, and it's a separate standalone device, and they push a button, and that gets help. But if an agent does have an app, and some of the associations do have apps, and I've checked them out, and the ones that I've seen that I like are the ones that have two-way communication. They're the ones that show the agent's location as well as calls for help. It calls law enforcement officials on the line right then and there. So if the agent's in danger, they can talk to someone and say, hey, I need help. And that law enforcement official can send help right to the location. I am leery of the apps that say, we'll contact your contact list. Because if your contact list doesn't have their phone out and it's in the bottom of their purse or on a table somewhere, help's not coming. So I advise agents to make sure that the app has a pretty decent history, that they've been around for at least a couple of years in this day and age, and that it has a live feature where they can talk to someone.
Well, now when you, because we're going to post this video probably in a couple of months from when we record it, when you, if you solidify that deal with that company, let me know, we'll put it. I do know that for our power agents, Tracey, we did a little bit of research on this. And I think it was after seeing you speak on this topic, you freaked me out. And so.
Wait a minute.
What?
I creeped you out?
You freaked. Now, you didn't freak me out like you personally. I got freaked out like, students are going to get mugged and stabbed and blah, blah, blah. So I researched a couple of software apps to tell our students. And you're right. The problem with the apps is that is you've got to, if you're in trouble, you got to open up your phone. You got to unlock it. You got to, you'll be dead already by the time you get through that. And I say this jokingly. But so I did find that there's some of those, like the thing that hangs around your neck that says, oh, I've fallen and I can't get up, One, so there's a couple of companies like that. One I found, it actually has it on a watch. So you can simply press the watch, bada bing, and it sends a thing out. So anyway, I'm interested to find the company that you work with that you would recommend, because I think that's real important for people's safety, yeah.
Definitely. I will keep you posted for sure, because that's such a serious topic, and you just can't trust your safety to just anything or anybody. So I will keep you posted.
Now, what do you think about, because you're making me think of ideas, what about so I use an iPhone, and my iPhone has, first of all, within the OS, the operating system, it's got Track My Phone in it, and I have it turned on. And then I have another Find Me thing. It's got another tracking app that I have. So I got a couple of ways that my family can find me because, I don't want them to worry.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, a lot of phones, including the iPhone, just like you said, the Find Me app or the Find Me is built in on your phone, and Android phones have the same thing. As a matter of fact, if you press your power button 3 times, then it opens up a whole safety mechanism, and it shows your location to whoever your contact list is. So phones have built-in safety tools. So people need to be familiar with their phones. Sit down, go to your settings, go to the security section, and just become familiar with your phone and they're already built in. And then the standalone devices, those are the ones that I'm talking about. Those are great for actually being able to call for help if you don't have your phone handy. And you need to be prepared in both ways.
All right, good. Now that power button thing that you said, is that an iPhone thing or an Android thing?
It's on an Android, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it works on the Apple as the iPhone as well. I need to do that research, but all phones have the built-in safety, and like you said, Find My Phone on the iPhone, that's already there.
All right, cool. What are you finding is maybe the number 1 or 2 crime that happens to agents, male or female? I don't care.
Physical attack, physical assault. Just last month, there was a real estate agent in Colorado who was showing a client, and the client was someone she didn't necessarily know, and she was walking through the house, and they got to the bedroom, and then he pulls out a knife, and then she goes for her gun. And what I'm finding is most agents have the concealed and carry. Most agents carry their guns with them nowadays, and that's perfectly fine as long as it's legal for the company that they work for, as well for their local association and board. So she started shooting. She didn't know if she hit him or not, but he took off running. So I am finding that more agents are carrying weapons. The National Association of Realtors says that the number 1 non-lethal weapon for agents would be pepper spray. So agents are carrying pepper spray, and more agents, again, not just in areas where you think, but all over the country, agents are carrying guns. So the one thing that I have to say is no matter what your weapon is, you need to practice it over and over. You need to be comfortable with it. and make sure you're obeying the laws and actually use it. Know how it's going to work if and when you need it, whether it's pepper spray or a gun. And then when I hear people taking self-defense classes, that's perfectly fine, but one class is not enough. You can't take a class and then magically you'll be able to defend yourself. You have to keep going back. You have to practice and practice, like with anything. That's why I really focus on safe work practices from the very beginning. Let's talk about ways to set up safe practices from the beginning, from screening, from showing, social media. And then I even started a tech safety boot camp where we're talking about everything technology. So I give agents the tools right up front to know how to be safe when you're working. So hopefully you never need a weapon. Hopefully you never have to use your self-defense skills to defend yourself. But the number one safety advice that I have to give every class, and I teach non-real estate safety as well, number one advice is to trust your gut. Listen to your body, trust your intuition, sixth sense, whatever you want to call it. We have, human beings have a built-in survival mechanism that is hardly ever wrong, and that's our guts. And in the interest of being polite, we typically ignore it. And I say, if you don't hear anything else I say, hear this. Listen to your bodies. That could get you out of a lot of trouble. And hearing interviews with crime victims, they always say, you know, I knew something was wrong. I felt that something was wrong. I should have listened to my gut. So listen to your gut.
Well, I mean, I hate to make a joke, but I just have to, because that's how I'm wired. I guess carrying a gun would also help if you took it out during a negotiation with the seller. Just putting it on the table, that might help them accept the offer a little quicker.
Exactly, whatever it takes.
Well, that's just the New York technique. All right, now let me. You're making me think though about, so if let's say a lady or even a guy has got a gun on them and they're by themselves and they're showing a house. There may be a situation where they won't even have a chance to take it out. I mean, if a person comes from behind them, grabs their arm, hits them, and then, like you said, if they're not used to using it, that's probably why you have to keep going to practice over and over, where using the gun is a second nature to you, you know, where you're so comfortable with it. Is there something an agent can do in lieu of carrying a weapon, even if pepper spray? What can they do to protect themselves to be safer without a gun, or I mean, without some kind of device?
Right. What I tell people, if they say, you know, I'm afraid to carry pepper spray, or I'm even afraid to carry a gun because someone will take it and use it against me, what I say is, if you're doing it the right way, that's not going to be a concern. If you have pepper spray and it's in the bottom of your purse, then you can't get to it. But if you have it and you have it out, and you're looking around, you're scanning your surroundings, you're looking to see who's around you, you look alert. Criminals take 7 to 10 seconds to determine who's going to be their next victim. If you are the person walking around with your face buried in your cell phone, you're not paying attention, you're dealing with your purse or looking for something, you look like an easy victim. But if you are the agent with your pepper spray in hand, or your alarm in hand, or your keys in hand with your alarm, and you're looking around, you look alert and you're vigilant, no one's going to have the opportunity to sneak up on you, take your weapon away, and use it against you. Same thing with a gun. Look around, pay attention, and be ready to use it if necessary. Like the agent in Colorado, again, she had her gun where she can get to it, and she was able to get to it and to use it. So her training kicked in. Okay. So if someone just buys a gun and they don't know how to use it and they're scared of it, how many times have I had agents say, you know, my husband wanted me to get a gun and I didn't want one and I'm so afraid of it. They're not going to use it. But if you're comfortable with the gun and that's something that you've been trained on and you're going to use it, then that's the best possible situation. No one's going to have the opportunity to take it from you before you can get them. So just be comfortable with whatever weapon you choose. And again, you don't need any weapon as long as you utilize your built-in gut. Because if you have a bad feeling about someone, whether it's from a phone call or the initial meeting, listen to your bodies. You can avoid bad situations and never even need a weapon.
That's great. And you know, when you think about it too, I mean, just as an aside, so that's great. Have an awareness, listen to your gut, pay attention. And if you're showing a property, technically, I mean, you shouldn't really be in front of the buyer anyway. Forget about safety. The buyer should be leading, going into the room first, and you be behind the buyer. I think that's just a good way to show property, period, end of story. But from a safety standpoint, I would think that's even better. That you always have your eye on them. You're never putting your back to them. You think?
That's a great point, Darryl. That's something I teach in all of my classes. The buyer always leads, because that way your emergency exit is never blocked. It could be the front door, the door you came in, whichever. No one should ever come between you and your escape route. So after a while, it becomes second nature. The client leaves. You can walk into a room or space with them, stay in the doorway, say, there's the closet, there's the bathroom, I'll stay here out of your way. Or even if you need to walk into a room or a space with them, allow them to go first. That way, if you're uncomfortable, something happens and you need to go, nothing standing between you and that door.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Great advice. What other little tidbits can we give the agents to Tracey that to help protect themselves or avoid being put into a situation they can't get out of?
One thing that I had to do, Darryl, in this business, I had to differentiate myself. I needed to add value to safety training. And let's face it, no one is excited about going to safety training, not unless there's a crime. If there's been a recent crime against an agent, all of my classes are standing room only, and suddenly everybody wants to talk to Tracey, the safety lady. But if there are no crimes against agent, then it's hard to get agents to show up for safety training. So I had an education director say the only time agents get excited about training is if you show them how to make more money. So I had to put on my thinking cap. It's like, how can I add money to the equation? How can I add profitability to the equation? Mm-hmm. I found a way to teach real estate agents how to make more money being safer by helping the consumer be safer. I give the agents tools and takeaways that I've created to help them help the consumer. And that's part of being a realtor, is that you get to help your community. And that's something that's in your conduct, your ethics agreement, that you want to help the community. So here is something that you can do when you're sitting down with potential sellers or your sellers. Here's ways that you can teach them to keep their house, their family, and their possessions safe while the house is on the market. Go through a checklist, talk to them about how to be safe. Here's something you can do, a resource for buyers. Here's a way for you to find a perfect house. Look at the crime statistics. Here are some research, here's some tools that you can help them with. And the FSBO, here's a way you can help those FSBOs. FSBOs don't necessarily like agents because they think they can do your jobs. But what FSBOs don't know is that what they're doing is dangerous. If the U.S. Department of Labor considers real estate sales and leasing a hazardous and a high-risk occupation, a FSBO has no clue. So I give real estate agents the tools to share with FSBOs. You're not talking about selling anything. You're not talking about money. You're not talking about marketing. You're talking about ways for them to stay safe and to keep their family and their possessions safe while they try to sell their house, while they're opening the house up to strangers. So I had to find a way to make real estate agents take safety seriously in the absence of crime. And what I found, pleasantly surprised, is so many associations and boards, they love the proactive way of doing it. They love being able to share with agents, here's a way for you to help your community. So for agents to not just think about their safety, but to think about the safety of the consumer, that's something new and different that I'm teaching, and agents are loving it.
I love that. That's a great idea. I mean, you've got for sale by owners, they're opening up their house to complete strangers. They don't know if these people, what their intentions are. Wow. I mean, how unsafe are they making themselves, right?
They don't even know.
They don't even know. Yeah, that would be like boarding an airplane without having TSA to check people out. So a homeowner is like letting people come through without any kind of verification of whether that person should be in their home, so to speak.
Exactly, and they don't think about it. So I give agents a tool where they add value to the relationship with that consumer. And then with the FSBOs, after the FSBO realizes, this is not as easy as I thought it would be. And oh my gosh, look at all of these safety tips. There's 13 on this sheet. I never thought of these. This is dangerous what I'm doing, and I don't have any training. What am I doing? And the agent whose business card is stapled to that tip sheet, their card rises to the top of the stack when that FSBO realizes they need to use a professional.
So you give the agents a flyer that they can actually use to, yeah,
Right.
that's, okay, that's pretty awesome. Okay, good.
Right, I created a designation. It's the country's only real estate safety designation. I've had over 600 agents complete it. Part of my training is teaching them how to use these tools, not only to keep themselves safe, but also how to keep their consumers safe. So I train them on how to use them and how to present themselves in the manner of they're helping their community. So I had to figure out a way to differentiate myself and to make agents want safety training.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea. Yeah, it's amazing that you know what here's what I think you're like, Tracey. You know what? You're like car insurance.
Mhm.
You know, like I don't like paying for car insurance,
Right.
but I gotta have it. You're like homeowners insurance. Every homeowner should have homeowners insurance. You hope that you don't ever have to use it, but you keep
Exactly.
paying for it just in case.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better.
You're the insurance lady of safety. There you go. I just
I'll
gave
take
you
it. I'll take it.
I give you a new tagline. All right. Well, obviously, you see, this is what I love about you is you're so passionate about this topic, which is awesome, and definitely so well knowledge, so well versed in it. What else can you share with people? I mean, because you probably can do a whole seminar, obviously, on this topic. What else am I not asking you that we need to let agents know to protect themselves or
And
what?
actually, I've done a 6-hour day or 7-hour day, and I just came from Oklahoma where they had me for a day and a half. So yes, I can talk on this topic forever. Darryl, another area, and one thing that I'm good at is finding the holes and plugging them, finding a need, and sharing that. So one area that has no coverage would be broker, manager, and owner safety. No one's really talking to them about how to reduce their liability. There have been some recent news stories about families of agents or agents actually suing real estate companies, whether they've been victimized in some manner. So what I did is I said, wait a minute, who's teaching the brokers, managers, and owners how to reduce their liability? And that starts with having proper safety training in place. One of the cases involved an agent who was murdered, and her family said if that company would have had some kind of safety training, that would have never happened. And then there was another case where a real estate agent had a photographer go to a house and didn't tell the seller the photographer was coming, didn't tell the photographer the seller may be there. The seller thought someone was breaking in, and she shot the photographer through the wall. Another lawsuit with a company and a real estate agent being the target. So what I did is I created a workshop, and it's the only one out there, and it's for brokers, managers, and owners. I talk about how to reduce their liability. I talk about how to put a handbook, a safety policy handbook in place, and I wrote the handbook. So they take my certification class, and I've had almost 200 take it so far. It's a relatively new class. They learn how to reduce the liability by protecting their offices, and that's the physical structure, and that's the possessions, the equipment in the office, that's the people who work there. That could be the staff members, it could be the agents, it has to be everyone knowing how to be safe. I teach them how to protect their if there's a disaster, let's talk about an evacuation plan. Let's talk about fire safety. Let's talk about workplace safety. What if there's an active shooter? We touch upon that. So I teach them how to make their offices safe. So if something goes wrong, the agents can't say, we didn't know or no one told us. And that also includes effective safety training. Not just everybody should be teaching safety. A lot of times if there's a PowerPoint, you think somebody will read the PowerPoint and we have safety training. I say no. You need to make sure you have someone who's teaching it, who can hold up on the witness stand. If you get sued, you need an expert, a subject matter expert who can say, this is what I do for a living, and here's the class that I taught. And this is what I do. So you can have someone who's qualified stand up on the witness stand and say, this person or this office, this company did what they were supposed to do. And Darryl, I've been hired recently by more real estate companies who are trying to reduce their liability. And more importantly, they said it's the right thing to do for their agents. So they're not even thinking liability initially, but they're thinking this is what we need to do for our agents. We need to provide expert safety training and not just anybody reading a PowerPoint.
Now, this is great stuff, Tracey. Do you have any training online for the brokers or anybody so in case they can't bring you in and do you have that option yet?
Webinars. I did a webinar for the National Association of Realtors years ago, and real estate companies have hired me to do webinars. So I can sit here in the comfort of my home here in Kansas City, and I can talk to them live or however they want to and teach their agents the same thing they get in the classroom. So that, like you said, is an affordable, more affordable option perhaps. Although I have to say that a lot of times people don't really want to put a price on safety, so they're willing to bring me in if they can, and if not, they don't have to lose out.
You know, for boards of realtors, they should definitely bring you in if they can make the budget work. And I think maybe there are ways to make budgets work. I'm thinking about that broker, right? So that broker that's got that one office of 20 agents or something, and that might be cost prohibitive. Is there, and you've got this so if I'm a broker and I want this handbook on helping my agents, how would they get that from you?
First and foremost, we'll do the webinar, and then I will send the handbook. I wrote the handbook. I will send it over, but I can't just give you the handbook without you knowing how to make it work.
No. You've got to charge for it too. So, but the point is, they don't have to fly you in. They can do They can hire you a webinar. They'll get the handbook as part of it, and they'll kind of be a certified office. Tracey has certified that they're safe.
Excellent point. And yes, we can do this live just like we're doing it here. We can do it by webinar, but the whole point is I need to be able to go through it with them to say, here's what you need to do. I need to impart the knowledge and information, and then they have the handbook in hand, and then they know how to immediately start implementing those office safe, those work practices right up front.
Awesome. Have you written, I should have checked this, Tracey. I'm sorry for asking this. Hey, have you written any, like if somebody just wanted to buy something from you, is there something that they could buy, a book or something that you've written yet? Or?
Well, the only book I've written, and I say only like it's not a big deal, is that handbook, the Office Safety Handbook. And the rest of my information is here. And I've had people say, well, Tracey, you know, can I teach your class? And to them, I was like, I've been doing this for 24 years, so I can't impart my knowledge and my experience on you in that short period of time. Right. So that's why I make myself accessible via a live training, just like we're doing a live conversation here, or a webinar. So that's an option. And then I also do offer products. I offer pepper spray. I offer those real estate warning signs, letting people know there's a camera here. And I tell agents, put those up outside of your open house and let them think that the house is under surveillance. You know, that's an excellent safety tip. So I do offer safety products, and those are on my website, and I take them with me, and I don't sell them as much as I educate about them, and then I make them available, because a lot of times agents don't know where to get this, and I don't like people wanting to sell to agents. I say there has to be an educational component. Agents need to know how to use the products and which products to use before you sell to them. So I've taken that on to make sure I educate in that area as well.
Well, that's awesome. Let's give everybody, you know, we didn't start this up. We should, your website. So what is your website, Tracey?
It's safetyandsecuritysource.com, and sources with an S like Sam. So 3 S's, Safety and Security Source. On Facebook, it's Safety and Security Source. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. It's Tracey the Safety Lady.
Awesome. And it's Tracey, just like we see it on the screen. It's Tracey C-E-Y, right? So Tracey, yeah, that's awesome.
Exactly.
Well, Tracey, stay with me. I'm going to just end the call, but not really. I'm going to just stay there with me. Gang, so, wow, we just obviously scratched the surface, and obviously we need to pay more attention to this. And because like we said earlier, you never know. You think it's not going to happen to you, like Tracey said it, and unfortunately it does happen to people. So it's better to be safe than sorry, right? So, all right, gang, thanks for watching this video. Tracey, thank you so much. Stay right here. I want to chat with you. Gang, until we speak again, don't forget to keep smiling. All right.